Greetings, nature nerdlings. I'm out here at beautiful Lake Murray on a very chilly and very overcast day to test out some new products that I got from my friends over at Enerplex. Enerplex is a company that makes solar panels and battery packs for people out in the wilderness so they can keep their small electronics charged up for your cell phone, for your GPS, basically for anything that gets power through USB, which is most things nowadays. So today we're going to be testing out a couple of their products, mostly some battery packs that they sent to me, but also a backpack that has a solar panel built into it. Now I know what you may be saying, on an overcast day like this, probably not the best test for a solar panel, but I did a little pre-test before this video just to see how well their backpack does. So let's show the backpack, and let me just show you the basics of it. So this is the backpack. This is called the Packr. As you see, it's just a basic notebook backpack for students or bike messengers, basically someone in the city. Not really meant for outdoors or survival situations, but we're going to test it anyway in a survival situation to see how this thing holds up. But I wanted to show off a few things. First off, here's the solar panel. Nice and big. It just exposes itself to the sun, so no matter where you're walking or doing whatever, it's always going to get some sort of sunlight. And you can see I still have the plastic sheet on it. I haven't even taken this off yet. This is brand spanking new. And what I do have is this tiny little multimeter that goes in through USB. And if you can see here, I'm going to just flip this upside down so you can actually see the voltage coming through. Even on an overcast day, with the plastic still on, I'm still getting close to 4 volts coming through this solar panel. So I just want to demonstrate just how efficient a panel like this is, even on a severely overcast day or I have no direct sunlight. Still have the plastic sheet on it, and I'm still drawing power off this thing. So that's pretty impressive. But we're going to see just how impressive this bag is. I'm going to pack this thing up as if it was a bug out bag. I have my normal accoutrement over to the side here, which I'll be packing into this backpack. We will take it out on a hike, and we will see how well it holds up with having a lot of heavy gear inside of it while charging up different devices throughout the day. So not only will we show how well this thing holds up, but I'll also be demonstrating some other battery packs that they sent me to show you how well they charge. So before we go on our hike, I wanted to show you the battery packs that Enerplex has sent over to me. The first one here is the Jumper Stack 3. This little battery pack is fantastic because first off, it has 2 different connectors on it. One is a micro USB, which is probably what most portable devices are using nowadays. But I don't know if you can see there, but there's also a little lightning cable connector there for the Apple users. Now, aside from the fact that this is a very small and very portable battery pack, it also has approximately 3,200 milliamp hours worth of charge when it's fully charged up, which is way more than most cell phones use. So this will get you at least probably about 1.5 full charges on like a standard iPhone 5, I think even the iPhone 6, and most Android devices. Of course, if you have anything like a GPS or any other small electronic, you want to check its battery capacity, make sure that it doesn't exceed 3,200 milliamp hours. Of course, even if it does exceed it, this is still going to get you most of the way there. It's nice and super portable. But the other great feature about the Jumper Stack 3 is the stack capability of it, which brings us to our next product over here. The Jumper Stack 6. Works very similar to the other one, except it's just a little bit of a bigger battery to it. So as you can see, it's got a bigger profile to it, about the same width. Still same connectors. We have our USB and our Lightning, but this one holds 6,200 milliamp hours. So 3,000 more milliamp hours than the Jumper Stack 3. But what's really great about these stackers, and this is where they get their name from, is that they have the ability to stack together. And when they stack together, you connect all of them using the USB connectors, and then you create a larger battery pack. So I put these 2 together, and I'm going to have, over 9,000 milliamp hours worth of charge just with these 2 little battery packs. So these are just going to be a pleasure to test. The other one that they sent me is the big guy, the Jumper Slate. This thing's a hoss. First off, it's fairly heavy because this thing's a giant battery. And when I take it out of the packaging, I'll show off how thin and how just wide it really is. But I mean, once it's out of the packaging, this thing's only 6.7 millimeters thick. It feels like it weighs a lot, but it's only about 0.8 pounds total. But with the packaging, it makes it feel a little heavier. But this guy has 10,000 milliamp hours in it. This will probably get you 4 full charges on an iPhone 5, because those have approximately 2,500 milliamp hours, give or take a few, depending on the usage of that device. But this will get you a lot of charge into an iPhone or an Android. Of course, if you have any other small electronics, it'll really charge that sucker up too. The thin profile makes it great because you can slip it right into your backpack and take it with you anywhere you go. So we're gonna take these guys out, we're gonna put them into the Packr, and we're gonna make sure that they take a charge, and we're also gonna make sure that these guys here output to the proper capacity that is advertised. Okay, so now we're gonna test out the battery packs that Enerplex sent over. So just to reiterate, we have our Jumper Stackr 3, our Jumper Stackr 6, and our Jumper Slate. So let's start off with the Stackrs. They're effectively the exact same with the exception of the profile. The 6 obviously is a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker, and a little bit heavier. But other than that, they're exactly the same. So let's take a look at what's all on the Stackr series. So in the front here we have our power button. You hit this and it turns the battery actually on. And we also have some connector pins here, which I'll explain in a second. So I'm going to turn this on real quick. On the top, we have our battery gauge, which gives you the 4 lights. It tells you how charged up it is. Each light obviously stands for a quarter charge. These things came fully charged right out of the package, which was fantastic. On the sides, we have our connector cables. So here we have our lightning cable on a little flex permanently attached cable. And on the other side, we have our micro USB, same thing with the flex cable. On the bottom here, we have our USB output and a USB input. And then on the back side, we have some pins. And these are the things that allow the Stackrs to connect to one another. So what you do is you take your 2 Stackrs, you match up pins to the connectors on the front, and they have a little bit of a magnet in them that just kind of grabs it and attaches it, and now you have a very large battery pack. Again, this is probably sitting in the neighborhood of about 9,400 milliamps connected like this. So we're going to test the capacity of it. So we've got our multimeter again. So I'm just going to plug this into the bottom. And if you can see here, I know the video sometimes gets a little weird on the way this thing shows up on the video, but we got about 5.1 volts coming out of the battery stack. So now I'm going to take an iPod here, a little cable. I'm going to plug it into the multimeter. It's going to show us our amperage going out. So you see here that it kicked right in, got a charge coming through, and let's take a look at our meter. Got 5.61 volts coming in and about 0.2 to about 0.5 varying on the amperage going into the iPod. That's pretty respectable. It's charging that thing up just nicely. All right, so now we're going to take a look at the Slate. So I mentioned before, the Slate is pretty big. I mean, just this profile here, but it's fairly thin, which is great because you can just slide that right into your backpack. So on the top portion here, we don't have really anything except on here on the bottom side. What we have here are 2 USB outputs. We have a micro USB input for charging, and then we have our little power button. So turn that on. We got our 4 lights right there at the bottom that gives it a full charge, and it works pretty much the same as the Stackrs, except these don't daisy chain like the Stackrs do. So let's go ahead and plug in our multimeter. So like the other ones, it's about 5.2 volts coming out. Now we're going to go ahead and plug in the iPod. Again, it picked up its charging, and it's about the same amperage out. So we have our 5.17 voltage and about 0.2 amperage coming out. So you can see here that these things will charge up just about anything you plug into them that takes USB as a charge. So these would be very handy out in the field because you can store a ton of power in these things and then use it to charge up again your cell phone for communications, your GPS if you get lost, whatever. So very handy to have and very, very, very effective. So before we go out on our hike, I just want to show you everything that I'm going to be putting into the Packr backpack. This is a basic bug out kit that I have going here. Again, this backpack is not made to be a bug out bag. It's not meant to be an outdoors bag, but we're going to test it as one anyway. So I got a line of basic bug out gear that I'm going to show you what I got. And we're going to get this all in the bag, and we're going to test how rugged the bag is on a hike with all this gear inside of it. So let me show you what I got here. So first thing we got here is our emergency radio. Picks up AM, FM, and the weather band. It also has a solar panel to charge up, and a hand crank just in case the battery dies out or there's no light. Here I have 4 aluminum tubes on a carabiner. Inside of these tubes I have some antacid, some ibuprofen, my daily meds, and some quick fire starters. Here I have my storm matches. I have my GPS, my flashlight, my jet boil stove, I have my headlamp, my survival knife, pack of spare batteries, paracord, my bandana, some binoculars, my first aid kit. I have my bag, and this is for more long-term survival. Inside of here I have a pocket chainsaw, I have a sewing kit, a fishing kit, I also have some spare glow sticks, and some other basic things that I would take out into a survival situation. I got some spare glow sticks here, got my work gloves. Inside here I have a toiletry bag with things like toilet paper, wet wipes, toothbrush, toothpaste, things like that, so you can stay clean while out in the field, just in case, you got a date out in the field, because you never know. So we're going to put all this stuff into the bag, and then we're going to take it out, and we're going to test to see how well the bag holds up while on a hike with all this gear inside of it. Did not fit within the pack. So let's take a quick peek here. You can see it's a little bulky right now, because we do have a lot of stuff in there. So take a peek in here. Try to do this with one hand here. So inside here, we have our Stackr charging up right now. I got my essentials bag, my first aid kit, my rope, pretty much most of the stuff into the main pouch. I got my carabiner with all my fire starters and my antacids, things like that, packed up in there. On the side pocket, in here, I have my little multimeter for testing later. On the other side, let me just move this out of the way here, have my flashlight and my storm matches. The top pouch here really didn't have a whole lot of room once I packed the main compartment up, so I didn't put anything in there. This does have another pocket in the main area, and this is mainly for your laptops, but I was able to fit some other minor things in there. So I have my GPS, the other battery pack, the live straw, and my gloves, and my bandana. Now if I wanted to, I could pull out a lot of the items that are found in here, and I could stuff them into that pocket. There's still more room. But considering that this isn't really considered an essential, I'm going to forego it for the time being. So now we're going to take this thing on a hike and see how it does being jostled around with all this weight and gear inside of it. So since the sun really wasn't cooperating out there in Oklahoma, I decided to bring the Packr out to someplace where there's always a lot of sun, here in San Diego, California. Figure out here we got a lot of sun, we can get a nice good test to see how much power that solar panel can output when exposed to a lot of direct sunlight. Plus, it's been about a week since the last part of the video, and I've kept this bag packed as a bug out bag to make sure it can hold up to all the weight and all the gear. And this thing still looks brand new. And I even traveled with it from Dallas-Fort Worth to San Diego. And as you all know, on a plane, luggage gets roughed up, and this thing still looks brand new. So this thing has held up remarkably well, even as a bug out bag, even though it's not designed to be one. This is the commuter version of the Packr bag. It's meant for your laptop, your schoolwork. It's meant to be in the city, not to be out in nature, but it still performs remarkably well. But let's take a look at what the solar panel is doing and make sure that we're getting the power that is advertised. Okay, so let's take a look at the pack. Here we have our multimeter, and I have it plugged into my cell phone. So let's take a good look, see if we can see what this is outputting. The multimeter is showing at about 5 volts out, which is very, very good. That's about what the battery packs can do. And our amperage is sitting at about 0.4 amps out, which is still pretty good. I mean, you want to go for about 1 amp, but I mean, again, this is not meant for high usage. And as you can see on my phone, right up there at the top, you can see that our little battery icon is showing that it is charging. So even in the last hour that I've been hiking with this backpack with my phone charged to it, I've gotten about 10%. And that's with me turning on the trails and not always having direct sunlight exposure to the panel. So I will have to say that this is definitely going into my collection as a dedicated bug out bag, because you always need power for your cell phone, for your GPS, for anything to get you in and out of a survival situation. So when you are considering getting a pack for your bug out bag, you can check out Enerplex, check out the Packr series, and pick the one that's right for you. So this is Nature Nerd. Be smart and be safe. Thanks.